Hey, my name is Ashley Keene, and this is my narrated presentation for prompt number 3 for our seminar class, ECED 6249. Okay, so identifying my challenge in education. So the challenge I chose is poverty in education. So the effects of poverty on student achievement is vast, and it has been an issue for as long as one can remember. It affects many components of education, including student achievement, student behavior, class environment, teaching styles, and so much more. And a quote I took from a video on YouTube: with 50% of the students in the US now living at the poverty level, teachers are noticing that students are not coming to school fully ready to learn. So, what exactly is poverty? It is a state or condition in which a person or community lacks the financial resources and essentials for a minimum standard of living. This means being so poor as to struggle to obtain food, clothing, shelter, and medicines. And we see the effects of poverty on our students daily within the classroom. And poverty, it doesn't choose race, it doesn't choose ethnicity, social backgrounds. Students on any level can be affected in some way by poverty. So, a little background in history. Obviously, poverty has been prevalent since the beginning of time: prehistoric, early civilizations, the Middle Ages, Industrial Revolution, and of course, now in modern times. And let's see. I found a little timeline of poverty in the mid 20th century. In 1964, President Johnson outlined a plan to declare war on poverty and create a great society. So Congress formed the Office of Economic Opportunity to help the poor. In 1971, Max Heyrich taught one of the first courses at a university that focused on poverty. And then I skipped a little bit to focus on 1995 to 2002. The National Institute of Mental Health, the Center on Poverty, Risk, and Mental Health operated for 7 years, expanding knowledge for research and practice on the relationship between poverty and mental health. Skipping to 2002, the National Poverty Center was established, and it encouraged and enabled young scholars to develop interest, skills, and expertise in poverty research, many who are now in leadership positions across the country. So this was just a small example slash timeline on the fight against poverty in our nation in the United States over several years in the 20th century. It has been, obviously, poverty has been a widespread issue throughout history, and not just in education, but in all forms, and it continues to be to this day. Okay, so current status and viewpoint. So my top paragraph here were some stats that I found, some percentages throughout the states. Poverty in education continues to be one of the largest challenges facing children, teachers, and school leaders alike. So I found this quote: the median student poverty rate for children in all U.S. school districts in 2021 was 14.5%. The U.S. Census Bureau reports, though the figure masks severe financial struggles, I should say, in some communities. So I found some percentages, and I tried to find them in like surrounding states. So Georgia, let's see. Georgia was at 19.6%, which it was in like the top 6, I believe. The state that has the highest level of poverty, and this is for children ages 5 to 17. All of these stats are for children ages 5 to 17. So that top one was Louisiana at 25.9%, and the second, Mississippi, at 25.7%, third, Alabama at 21.6%, and Georgia, let me see, okay, so Georgia was actually number 9 out of 50 states. So I didn't list every one of them. I just kind of wanted to do like our surrounding southern states. So I did put a little focus on Mississippi. I found that interesting, and I wasn't really surprised. My father grew up in Mississippi in the Delta area, so I went there as a child very, very regularly. That's where half my family is from. And you can just tell even visually that the surrounding areas where he grew up, they suffer from poverty, and it just is a poor community. And these statistics sort of just drive that home. Like it's not just what we see, it's actually documented. So, so I searched for various viewpoints when it comes to poverty and education, and there's obviously only one side, and that is that it's negative and that it's a challenge. It's not like a challenge like standardized testing or online learning where there are various opinions on whether it's good or bad. It's simply that it's a challenge. No matter how it affects a community, it has no positive outcomes. The only perspective and focus should be on how to make the educational experience better for students. Even if we can't take, poverty away from them, we can try to alleviate how they suffer from it, and how we as teachers can educate our students who don't suffer from poverty more knowledgeable in order to have more empathy for their peers who are affected by it. I believe in everything, knowledge is power, and spreading the word might make it possible to ease that burden for certain children. So classroom school summary. So I'm still in my first year of teaching, so I haven't seen a ton of the effects of poverty, but I have seen a little bit like within my own classroom. What I have seen, it hasn't really affected my teaching, but it has affected the students that are involved. One student who I said we'll call Jay has recently gone through a major loss in her family. Her grandmother passed away, and she was already somewhat on the poverty level, but the loss of her grandmother made it worse as she had to move back in with her mother. I've noticed a huge change. When she was with her grandmother, she flourished socially, emotionally, physically, educationally. And as soon as her grandmother passed away, her demeanor has changed, her appearance has changed since moving back in with her mother. Her grades, she still makes good grades. She's very, very smart, but they have gone down just a little bit. A lot of this is from more frequent absences and tardies, I've noticed. Her physical appearance is a little bit different. And I do know that poverty can cause parents to work late hours, causing exhaustion, and it can also cause lack of transportation, which could explain her more prevalent tardies and absences. These issues, which I just said, she and Jay does visit the guidance counselor on a regular basis. I have also informed her that if she ever needs anything from me, do not ever hesitate to ask. So this is just one example that I've personally experienced within my classroom. I know there's a lot more throughout my school, but I can't speak too much on those situations. I don't know all of the details. I can just speak on my own experience. So community impact summary. So unfortunately, I haven't personally had the opportunity to share my knowledge of poverty like within the community or even my classroom, but I would love the opportunity. So I found a couple of ideas from Juanita Harmon to incorporate it. Let's see. Her first suggestion is high expectations, and I fully believe in this. She states, holding students to high expectations allows them to work towards reachable goals that can empower them with intrinsic motivation. So holding students to a high standard, no matter their socioeconomic status, is vital so they know they are capable. Her second approach is to expose students to places outside of the classroom. She says, many times students' experiences can be limited due to their means and their parents/caregivers' experiences. It's integral to show students the world around them and open their eyes to what the world has to offer. Exposing students to something different than what they see on a daily basis is an amazing way to show that there's so much more than what they've experienced. This doesn't mean we have to plan weekly field trips, but we can find resources like websites, books, so forth, and invite guest speakers to reveal what is possible despite poverty situations. Lastly, we must build relationships with students and their families. Building relationships with our students instills trust. It opens lines of communication that might lack if that bond was absent. Letting parents and families know they're important to us. They're important to us as much as their children are important to us. It opens up a really healthy line of communication. It creates a healthier school relationship with them. And it builds a stronger bond with them and their children. So we need to be consistent and let them know that there is that trust and compassion from us to them. And these are my artifacts. So the first two pictures are the little book bags and a gift of love services form. So a gift of love and the food bag. So we send these out to certain students. My school, Dorset Shoals Elementary School, sends the form home at the beginning of the year, and families that are in need, they fill it out and they send it back to school. The food in the bags come in every Thursday, and the bags of food are sent home every Friday. I currently have two students in my homeroom that benefit from a gift of love. And my second artifact, the second two pictures, is an MV form and informational document. So the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance ensures educational rights for children and youth experiencing homelessness. The primary goal is educational stability. This is a program offered countywide in the Douglas County school system. So I love that. So one of the documents, the third one there, is information, and the fourth one is the form, again, that we send home for any families in need. And then lastly are my references. So that is about it. I'm wrapping it up, and that is my prompt 3 narrated presentation.